My name is Lucas. Today I want to tell you my story about how my wife left me while I was deployed overseas and tried to take everything I worked for. Before we begin, please subscribe to the channel and comment below where are you watching from. I was 41, a staff sergeant in the 101st Airborne when it all fell apart. After 5 months stationed in Kabul, I received an email from Rachel, my wife of 12 years. The subject line read, "Let's be mature about this." The message was short. She said she had filed for divorce, cleared out our joint account, and moved Travis into our home in Helena. I stared at the email, closed my laptop, and took a cold shower. After that, I got ready for my shift and didn't mention it to anyone. That night, I sent back a one-word reply. Noted. Carter, my bunkmate, sensed something. "Everything all right?" he asked, eyes still on his book. "Just something back home," I said. He gave a small nod. In the military, you don't press when someone isn't ready to talk. The truth is, I wasn't caught off guard. 6 months before deployment, I started seeing the changes. Rachel stopped asking about my day, stayed late at the physical therapy clinic, joined a gym but never seemed to use it much, bought new clothes, made new friends I never met, and changed the passwords on her phone. I didn't accuse her or snoop. That's not me. But I wasn't blind either. I took quiet steps. I rented a storage unit on the other side of town. I placed my birth certificate, marriage license, and the deed to the house, the one with just my name on it because of the VA loan, inside. I put my father's compass and my mother's quilt there too. I opened a separate bank account and started sending a portion of my pay. Not enough for Rachel to notice, but enough to make sure I wouldn't be left with nothing. The night before deployment, she hugged me at the airport and said, "Stay safe." No tears. Just like a neighbor saying goodbye, not a wife seeing off her husband to war. We met at a friend's cookout in 2011. I was on leave, staying with my buddy Eric. Rachel was finishing school but ended up working as an admin at a clinic. "Less stress," she said. We got married 8 months later. She always said she was proud of my service, but I'm not sure she ever really understood it. Her dad worked in insurance. Her brother was a physical therapist. No one in her family had ever served. She used to ask when I'd get a real job, not realizing the army was my career, not just something I did while figuring out life. We bought our 2-bedroom bungalow in 2013. Small yard, quiet street. The mortgage was in my name, but I added her to the deed because that's what married people do. My dad passed the year after we married, having a heart attack while shoveling snow. My mom died 3 years later from cancer. They left me a little money, not a lot, but enough for us to pay off our student loans and build a cushion. I deployed 4 times in our marriage, twice to Iraq, twice to Afghanistan. And each time Rachel seemed more and more distant when I returned, like she wasn't sure how she fit into our life anymore. Once, when I mentioned signing up for another 4 years, she said, "I didn't sign up to be a military wife. I'm tired of being alone." I understood. I really did. But the army was where I belonged. It was the only place I ever felt like I was doing what I was meant to do. In 2020, things shifted again. Rachel would act annoyed when I called during her girls' nights. She talked about how her friend Melissa divorced and was living her best life. She'd say we didn't have much in common anymore. I suggested counseling, but she said we were fine, just going through a phase. Then came the late nights at work, the weekends away with friends I'd never met, the new clothes, the gym membership that barely got used. I didn't call her out on it. My dad taught me to think before I spoke. So I waited, watched, and quietly prepared. Because my gut told me something was coming. And when you've been in the service as long as I had, you learn to trust that gut. I didn't act right away. I just kept watching and preparing because my gut told me something was coming. When you've served as long as I had, you learn to trust that feeling. 2 weeks after Rachel's email, I was sitting in the mess hall when my phone buzzed. It was a notification from our bank app. Another withdrawal, This one for $88,500. That was nearly everything we had left. I set down my fork, opened the app, and saw that our joint account was down to $22.37. The $47,000 we'd saved over the years? Gone. All transferred to an account I didn't recognize. Reed, a guy from my unit, glanced over. Bad news? The large withdrawals began right after I deployed. I hung up, stood in the hallway, and watched other soldiers calling home, laughing, talking to their families. Meanwhile, my life was falling apart. Carter found me there. Brooks said you looked like you saw a ghost at dinner. What's going on? I didn't usually open up, but Carter had helped me through a tough spot in Kabul. I trusted him. My wife emptied our accounts, moved her boyfriend into our house, sent divorce papers while I was on patrol last week. Carter didn't say, "I'm sorry," or, "You'll find someone better." He just asked, "What's your plan?" Not sure yet. Let me know if you need anything. That night, sleep wouldn't come. I opened my laptop and logged into the home security system, something Rachel probably forgot I could still access. On camera, I saw a truck I didn't know parked in my driveway. A man I'd never seen before was walking my dog, using my thermos, wearing my army hoodie. Rachel was laughing with him in the kitchen I'd renovated myself during my last leave. Something shifted in me. Not anger, something sharper, clearer. I closed the laptop and picked up my phone. I made a list. Call Mark, my army buddy turned lawyer, check VA loan terms, ask my master sergeant about emergency leave, review the refinance paperwork Rachel had mentioned a year ago, check the security on my military pension. I wasn't sad anymore. I wasn't even mad. I was clear-headed, like I was prepping for deployment. This wasn't about feelings now. It was about strategy. At 0500 before my shift, I emailed Mark. Need legal help. Discreet and urgent. His reply came fast. Call me on a secure line. After that call, I knew what had to be done. No yelling, no threats, no scenes. I'd wait, watch, and let her actions build the trap. 2 months later, I was back on U.S. soil. I didn't tell Rachel. No calls, no texts. I checked into an inn in downtown Helena under a different name and called Mark. We met at a roadside cafe outside town. "You look rough," he said as he slid into the booth. "Feel like it?" I replied. He handed me a folder. Everything we talked about, the house deed, bank statements, loan documents, and this. He pulled out a separate paper. "Found something digging through your finances. A refinance application. It has your name, but not your real signature. They messed up your middle initial. The writing's close, but not right." "Rachel did this?" I asked, though deep down I knew. Mark nodded. 3 months ago. Used the equity to pull out $330,000. Your signature was needed because of the VA loan, so she faked it. So she forged my name, took out a loan against the house, drained the accounts, and filed for divorce. Busy woman, and it gets better. She listed her boyfriend as a co-applicant. Travis has 2 DUIs and a fraud charge from 2019. I took a breath. What are my options? A few. But first, what do you want? I didn't have to think long. What's mine? And for her to face the consequences. Mark smiled. Then here's what we do. The next day, I drove past our house. Travis's truck was gone, but Rachel's car was there. I parked down the block, thought about knocking, but that wasn't the plan. Instead, I went to the bank, met the loan officer who'd handled the refinance, showed him my military ID, my driver's license, and the real signature. His face went pale. "I'll have to report this right away," the loan officer said, his face pale. "I understand," I told him. "I've already filed a police report." That night, Rachel texted me. "Who have you been talking to at the bank?" Travis said someone was asking questions. I didn't answer. The next morning, I went to the county clerk's office and filed paperwork contesting the refinance on the grounds of fraud. I also registered a formal notice so no changes could be made to the property without me. 2 days later, Rachel called. I let it go to voicemail. "Lucas, we need to talk. The bank called about the house. What are you doing? If this is about the divorce, we can discuss it like adults." Those words, like adults, were the same ones from her email. I ignored it. That afternoon, Mark called. They froze the refinance funds. And there's more. Your wife's boyfriend has been driving your truck, right? The one in your name? Yeah. He got pulled over this morning, driving on a suspended license from his DUIs. They impounded the truck. Good. That's not all. The police found medical supply forms from the clinic where Rachel works. They weren't blank. I closed my eyes. She's been stealing forms. Looks like it. The police are investigating. I sat on the edge of the motel bed, realizing this was bigger than I thought. Part of me wanted to call Rachel, warn her. Old habits die hard. But then I remembered the security footage, my home, my dog, my life handed over like it meant nothing. Number I couldn't turn back now.
The next morning, I met with the bank's fraud investigator, Thompson. He was a short man with tired eyes and a coffee stain on his tie. He spread documents across the desk. This happens more often than you'd think. Spouse deploys, the one left at home sees a chance. What happens now? I asked. We froze the remaining refinance funds, but some of the money's already gone. How much? About half, $14,600. Where did it go? He hesitated. I'm not really supposed to say. It's my house, my forged signature, my stolen money. He nodded and slowly turned his computer screen toward me. These are the transfers. I scanned the list. There were multiple payments to someone named Brian Foster, not Travis, a new name. Who's Brian Foster? Thompson shrugged. Not my department. Your lawyer can subpoena this. As soon as I left the bank, I called Mark. Brian Foster? Mark said. Give me an hour. An hour later, he called back. Brian Foster's a property broker. He handles fast sales for cash. She was planning to sell your house. The words hit like a punch. She was selling the house? Seems so. Those payments were probably deposits to get him moving on a listing. And it gets better. Foster's done deals with Travis before. 3 of them in the last 2 years. I sat down on a park bench, trying to take it all in. This wasn't just Rachel leaving me for another man. This was a setup, I said quietly. Looks like it, Mark replied. I dug into Travis. He's done this before, gets involved with women during divorce or when their husbands are deployed. I found 3 other cases. Same pattern. The house sells cheap to one of Foster's buyers. Travis gets a cut, then moves on. And Rachel? Hard to tell. Maybe she got caught up in it, or maybe she was part of the plan. I rubbed my face, feeling the weight of it all. I rubbed my face, realizing this wasn't just Rachel betraying me anymore. This was bigger, planned, and other military families had fallen victim too. What do we do? I asked. I've already contacted the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit, Mark said. This crosses state lines, involves VA loans, military personnel. They're interested. That night, I sat in my motel room, staring at a beer. I wondered if Rachel had played me our whole marriage, or if she just got caught up in Travis's scheme. Maybe it didn't even matter now. My phone buzzed. It was Rachel. Lucas, please call me. The bank said something about fraud. Travis was arrested driving your truck. I don't understand what's happening. I stared at the message, then typed. Who is Brian Foster? I saw the typing dots appear, then stop, then appear again, and stop. Finally. I don't know what you're talking about. $14,600. Multiple transfers. House listing. No response for 10 minutes. Then, it's not what you think. I turned off my phone and went to bed. The next morning, Mark called. The FBI wants to meet. They've been investigating Travis and Foster for months. You're not the first, but you might be the case that finally breaks it open. For the first time since that email in Kabul, I felt something like relief. Not because my marriage was done, but because the truth was coming out. I met with the FBI at their field office in Helena. Agent Kim and Agent Lee took my statement and made copies of everything Mark and I had collected. Your case helps us build the pattern, Kim said. It shows planning and intent. This is organized. It's a conspiracy, not just a one-off fraud. What about Rachel? I asked. The agents exchanged glances. We're still figuring out her role, Lee said. Did she ever talk about needing money or wanting to sell the house? I thought about it. She kept saying we were house poor, that we should downsize. I didn't agree. My salary covered everything. When did she start saying that? About 6 months ago, around when she must have met Travis and the refinance. Did she ever talk to you about it directly? Number she forged my signature while I was deployed. They asked more, took more notes. When we were done, Kim handed me her card. We'll be in touch. Don't confront your wife or Travis. We need this case solid. I nodded. Noted. That evening, I parked down the street from my house. Travis's truck was back. Must have gotten it out of impound. Rachel's car wasn't there. My phone buzzed. Another message from her. We need to talk in person. Meet me at Pineview Park tomorrow. The next morning, over breakfast, I showed the text to Mark. Don't go, he said. No good will come from seeing her right now. I wasn't planning to, but I want to see what she's really up to while she thinks I'm at the park. At 9:30 a.m., we parked across from the house. At 9:45, Rachel came out, got in her car, and drove off toward Pineview Park. Now what? Mark asked. Now we wait. 20 minutes later, a car pulled up with a property broker logo. Brian Foster.
Travis came out and greeted him. They spoke for a bit, then went inside. Should we follow them? Mark asked. No need, I said, pulling out my phone. I set up interior and exterior cameras last year. Upload to the cloud. Mark smiled. Didn't mention that before. Didn't come up. I opened the security app and showed him the feed. Inside, we saw Foster snapping photos and Travis pointing out parts of the house. I turned up the volume. Should list by the end of the week, Foster said. I've got a cash buyer interested already. How much? Travis asked. List at $470. They'll offer $420. Everybody wins. What about the husband? Rachel says he's being difficult. Foster shrugged. Military guys make noise, but they're busy with deployments. He'll settle to make it go away. Are you getting this? I asked Mark. He was already recording the screen. I forwarded the live feed to Agent Kim with the message, happening now. 30 minutes later, FBI vehicles surrounded my house. I watched from down the street as agents led Foster and Travis out in cuffs. My phone rang. It was Kim. Got them on tape. Conspiracy, wire fraud, attempted sale under false pretenses. We'll need a formal statement. Of course. I understand, I said. And Mr. Briggs, Agent Kim added, your wife just showed up at the scene. She's upset. I glanced down the street. Rachel stood on our front lawn, hands over her mouth, watching as agents carried boxes from the house. What happened to her? I asked. That depends, Kim replied, on what she knows and on what you want. I watched Rachel for a long moment. We'd had 12 years together. There were good years at the start, before everything fell apart. I just want what's fair, I finally said. The federal case moved fast. Travis and Foster both took plea deals. They blamed each other and named other people involved. It turned out it was a 3-state scheme targeting military families. Rachel claimed she didn't know about the bigger plan. She said Travis convinced her I'd been hiding money and planned to leave her broke. She said the refinance was his idea and she just went along. Maybe that was true, maybe not. In the end, she agreed to a settlement. She paid back everything that was stolen. She gave up any claim to the house and my military pension. She signed a confession about forging my signature. In exchange, I didn't press charges. 6 months after that email in Kabul, the divorce was final. No fault. A clean break, all things considered. On the day I signed the last paper, Agent Kim called. Travis Ryan was sentenced today. 8 years for fraud, conspiracy, and identity theft. Foster got 12. Thought you'd want to know. Thank you, I said. There's something else. We confirmed they did this to 11 other military families. Your case helped prove the pattern. Those families may get their money back because of you. After we hung up, I sat on the porch of my rental, watching the sunset. I thought about those other families, men who went overseas, believing their homes and marriages were safe, who came back to nothing. I never planned to take down Travis and Foster's operation. I just wanted what was mine. But sometimes things work out in ways you don't expect. That evening, Rachel texted, "I never wanted things to end like this." I didn't answer. There was nothing left to say. A year later, I sold the house. I couldn't stay there. Too many memories. Too much betrayal soaked into those walls. I used the money to buy a small cabin near Bozeman, Montana. 2 bedrooms, 8 acres of land, a small pond out back, and no neighbors for miles. I took early retirement from the Army. 18 years was enough. I'd given everything I had. I got a Labrador named Scout and started doing carpentry for locals. Nothing fancy, but it kept my hands busy and helped cover small expenses. My pension took care of the rest. Sometimes I wondered where Rachel ended up. Mark heard she moved back to Idaho, working at another clinic, trying to start over. I didn't hate her anymore. I didn't really feel anything about her. She'd made her choices. I made mine. One evening, I got a letter from a woman in San Antonio. Her husband was in the Navy, deployed when Travis and Foster tried their scheme on her. The FBI gave her my name as part of the case. "You don't know me," she wrote, "but you saved our home. Thank you for fighting when it would have been easier to give up." I read it twice and pinned it to my fridge. On quiet days, when the memories got heavy, I'd look at that letter and remember something good came out of all of it. Last I heard, Travis and Foster were still in prison. For once, the system worked. And as for me, I kept moving forward. One quiet day at a time, building something new, something no one could take, forge, or betray, something that was mine. That was my story. And even now, I'm still learning from it every single day. If you've ever faced something like this, or if you just have thoughts to share, I'd really like to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think. And if this story touched you in any way, don't forget to subscribe. Who knows? The next story could open your eyes to something new.